Hello and welcome to Pet Pals. Thanks for joining us for another edition. I'm Bethany Davidson, the Humane Educator here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. And joining me as always is Animal Wrangler Randy Cooper. He's one of our fantastic volunteers. Our first guest this morning is Maximus. He is a Maltese mix. He's one of our senior animals at 8 years old. When we do adoption fees for our seniors, the seniors from the ages of 5 to 9 go home for a $20 reduction in their adoption fee, and the animals from 10 to 14 go home for $40, and 15 and up, they're $60 off their adoption fee. But Maximus here is a sweet little guy. When he came in, if you're looking at his pictures online, you're going to notice that he had a lot more hair. It's important when you're getting these types of breeds that you're doing all the work that you need to for their grooming. He was a little matted, had some issues there, so we went ahead and shaved him down to make him more comfortable, because when those mats and things can get very close to the skin, it can be painful for them. Creates all kinds of other issues for them as well. So you want to make sure that you're able to be committed to getting an animal like Max groomed, whether you're doing it yourself or you're taking him to the groomer, any of those types of things. He is a very sweet little guy. He's much more active now that he's feeling better. We are currently treating him for a urinary tract infection. So when animals come in with issues, we diagnose them and then we go ahead and treat them as people would with their animals at home. We want to make sure that all the animals in our care are healthy. As you can see, he's a fan of treats. He's got an energy that maybe doesn't suggest that he's a senior dog, but he does. He does have some things that would be good to work on as far as training, according to his previous owner. He does ride well in the car. He's used to baths, used to vet checks. He walks on leash. He's very friendly, but he can be a roamer, a wanderer. He can be a barker. All of those things you can work on with training. But if you're interested in having a nice little dog become part of your family, you can stop in and visit with Maximus. He'll be available on our adoption floor. This next guest is Kovu, and he is actually siblings in a way with our first guest, Maximus. They came in together. Kovu is a 3-year-old pit bull mix. He is a very calm guy. He's on the floor, you walk by, he just kind of comes to the front and looks at you. He's not one of the dogs that's really going to be barking at you a lot, trying to grab your attention. He just comes up, and what grabs your attention is just how cute he is. He's got that great brown spot over his eye. His ears perk right up, his tail's wagging. He's a really happy guy. He came into the shelter with Maximus just because the owner was moving, and they tried to find placements for their dogs in other places with other people, but they were unable to do that. And so as a last resort, they brought them here to us, where we're hoping to find them both wonderful new homes. According to the previous owner, Kovu is playful, he's energetic, he's friendly, he rides well in the car, walks well on a leash. When we did our behavior assessment on him, we found most of those same things to be true. He's very friendly. He keeps his kennel pretty clean. He reacts favorably to other dogs. When he's walking past the kennel, he's not, barking. He doesn't have any type of aggressive behavior. He comes forward for you, no issues with food aggression. He can be a little bit difficult to walk, but that's not uncommon for the really strong dogs. They pull a little bit. So when we have our volunteers out walking him, we usually put him on a harness. That's for his protection, gives everybody a little bit better control. He really loves to be petted, as you can see. He's just a big love bug who's looking for a second chance. When you're adopting dogs and cats from us, dogs, cats, rabbits, they all leave spayed and neutered. So before Kovu would go home, he would be neutered, he would be rabies vaccinated, he would be microchipped, have his come with his county license, get flea and tick preventative, other preventative vaccines, as well as some dewormer. And also we give all of our new adoptive pet parents a free well visit to the vet. So you really can't beat that price. The price for a dog like Kovu would be $92.50, and that includes all of those things. And as we mentioned earlier, the senior dogs and cats would get a discount on their adoption fee. If you're interested in taking this handsome, lovable guy and making him part of your family, please stop by and visit him at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. People often ask us, do we have any small dogs? And a lot of the time we have larger dogs, but recently we've had a lot of the smaller dogs come in, and Mr. Puppy is another one of those. He is a 6-year-old Shih Tzu mix. He's black and white, although I'm not really seeing a whole lot of white on him right now. He is another one of those dogs where you really have to make sure you can be committed to grooming them. He's not as bad as some of the other ones that have been in, but he could use a trip to the groomer, a nice haircut. Whether you're, again, doing it yourself, learning to do it yourself, taking him in and getting it done, that's something that needs to be monitored and kept up with. It's just as important as providing good food for your animals, shelter, taking them and getting them vet care. If you're not committed to that type of a breed, then you want to get a dog with a shorter coat so that you don't have to worry about it. His previous owners brought Mr. Puppy in because, again, they were moving. A lot of people, their situations changed. They're unable to find a place that they can afford, maintain, that allows them to keep their animals. So the animals make their way to us through no fault of their own. It doesn't mean that they're a bad pet. It just means that for whatever reason they were unable to get the care that they needed, and their owners did the responsible thing for them, what's actually better for them, by bringing them to us so that we can find somebody that can provide that for them. According to the previous owner, Mr. Puppy is very affectionate. He knows sit. He brings you toys when you come home at the end of the day. He does get car sick, which is an important thing to know, because one of your first interactions with your animal is going to be taking them home from the shelter to your house. They say he's housebroken, he's crate trained, he doesn't have any issues with, roaming, tearing up furniture, or anything like that. And they also say that he has gotten along well with children of all ages. Here he walks well on the leash, he enjoys being petted, he doesn't have any problems with other dogs, he has no food aggression, so he's just going to be a great addition to any family. Again, as a senior, he would go home for that reduction of $20 in his adoption fee, making him go home for an adoption fee of $72.50. Our next guest is Rue, and she is a 6-month-old Border Collie mix puppy. As a puppy, she will be adopted through our puppy process, which means we take up to 4 applications for her, and then we decide what family is going to be the best fit for her. Those puppy applications have more questions than a typical application, so that we can get more information from you, so that we can make the most informed choice. We want to make sure that people who are taking home our puppies understand that they still need a lot of training, and we want to make sure that you understand the breed and things like that. Rue is a very sweet young dog. She's very affectionate. She loves to be petted. She's doing great as far as walking well on her leash, although she can be a little underfoot sometimes. At first, once she gets to know, like in the kennel, she comes right up to the front of her cage, but I took her out recently, and what I discovered is that when she's outside of her kennel, she's a little bit timid around new people. Just takes her a minute to warm up to you, but once she becomes comfortable with you, she warms right up. She takes treats very nicely. She's got a very playful energy about her. She doesn't really do a lot of jumping up on you, but she is also a bit of a cuddler. At one point she was sitting on my lap. She was happy to do that. But as a Border Collie, that's a working breed. She's bred to have a job. So it's really important that whoever adopts her is going to get her the appropriate exercise that she needs, because they have that higher energy. Getting them out, whether you have a big yard for them to run in, or you're going to be taking her to the dog park. She also needs a task to do. They're very smart. They learn things very quickly. So she's not out hurting. She needs to be doing agility or frisbee or something that's going to keep her mentally stimulated. Because like our children, our dogs, when they're bored, they'll find something to get into, and it's usually something that we don't want them to be getting into. So you want to make sure that you're prepared to take on all of those aspects of having this specific type of breed. Even though she is adorable, you want to make sure that you can give her the proper care that she needs by giving her that job, that exercise that she really needs to thrive in any home. If you're interested in adopting Rue, you can stop in and visit her. Her adoption fee would be that $150 puppy adoption fee. Same things included that we would include for all the other animals: spay, neuter, rabies vaccination, county license, microchipping, all kinds of other preventative vaccines, dewormer. All of that stuff would be included in that fee. But please stop by and visit with Rue today. Our last canine guests for you today are a bonded pair. We have them down as Cocker mixes. The previous owner says that they are Cocker Spaniel Chihuahua mixes. They are Nate and Leia. Leia is the white one, and the black and white one is Nate. They are both 11 years old. So they would be reduced in their adoption fee $40 a piece, and then because they are bonded and you had to take both of them home, they would get an extra $20 off their adoption fee. They are very active for being 11 years old. They don't really have the energy level of senior dogs. They can be a little bit nervous, which is understandable because they lived in the same place their entire lives, but unfortunately their owner passed away, and other members of the family were unable to care for them. So they brought them here so that we could find them a new home. Animals make their way to us for a variety of reasons. Sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's relating to their children, sometimes it's an allergy, medical issues, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's because those owners have passed away. And we do our best to make the animals help them adjust. That's partially why they're bonded. We're going to keep them together so that they don't have to deal with any further trauma, the trauma of being separated. They do like to be petted. They walk pretty well on leash. They're both being treated currently for urinary tract infections, just like Maximus is, because they're caged together until we do some further testing. We go ahead and have them both on that medication to clear that up for them. The previous owner says that they walk well on leash. They can be a bit of a barker. They have they're high energy dogs. They also told us that they are not good with kids. Now, we haven't seen that. We haven't restricted them on, older children or adult home or anything like that. But we do always encourage people who are coming in to adopt. It's part of our policy. Everyone in your family has to interact with the dogs, with the cat, with the rabbit, guinea pig, what have you. And that's really to let us know, if these guys don't do well with your children, then it's better to know before you get them home and fall in love and become invested and have to make that difficult decision about whether or not to return them to the shelter. So if you're interested in adding two for the price of one, essentially, to your home, and giving these guys a nice loving home to spend their golden years in, you can stop by and visit them at the shelter. We are located on Rosemont Avenue, just across from Fort Detrick, and we are open 6 days a week. That's going to wrap it up for this half of Pet Pals. After the break, we're going to have some adoptable felines that are also looking for their new forever homes.
I'm Frederick County Executive Jan Gardner. From the shores of the Potomac River to the foothills of the Catoctin Mountains, with all the farms and bustling communities in between, there's truly something for everyone in Frederick County. explore Frederick County's rich history and be part of our bright future.
Welcome back. And first up on the cat part of our show today, we have what everybody's been looking for, kittens. These guys came in fairly recently as owner surrenders. The owner had too many animals in the home, so they brought us their 3 kittens. These guys are 3 to 4 months old. I've mentioned in the past that we have a lot of kittens in foster care, which is still the case, but these guys are currently available on the adoption floor right now. They'll probably get snatched up and adopted pretty quickly because people are actively looking for kittens. Based on what we have in foster care right now, we know that in about mid-June is when we're going to have a ton of our foster kittens making their way back into the shelter. So if these guys get adopted before you have a chance to come in, just know that mid-June is really when we're looking to have tons of kittens in the shelter. These guys are all named after Winnie the Pooh characters. So when we have to name a lot of animals, we kind of pick a theme and we roll with it. So in the dog portion of our show, we had a Roo, and on my lap is the female from this bunch of kittens. Her name is Kanga. And then over there with Randy, the gray cat over there, he's a little boy named Eeyore. And then the black one is Christopher Robin. Again, these guys are 3 to 4 months old. Our kittens are adopted for a price of $97.50. That's the same for cats and kittens across the board, unless they're seniors. As we mentioned in the canine part of the show, all of our animals will leave spayed and neutered, so that'll happen for these guys before they go home. They'll get rabies vaccinated, they'll get their county license, distemper vaccine, flea and tick preventative, dewormer, a free well visit to the vet, and they'll also be microchipped. These guys are in the same cage together, they play well together, but they don't have to go home together. But if you are interested in taking more than one, that's something that we do. With the kittens, you can take 2 if you want to take 2. Sometimes we've had people adopt 3 cats at once. But with the dogs, we prefer that people only take 1 puppy home and not more than 1 puppy. If you're interested in taking home these guys, they are very affectionate, very sweet. Christopher Robin seems to be the more playful of the 3, but they are still kind of settling in. They're very new additions to the floor. We do ask that people be careful with our kittens, not sticking your fingers in their cages just because we don't want them to get that kitty cold. But if you're interested in adopting them, we just want you to come to the front and check and see if they are full on applications or not, read their profiles, and then we can get a staff member or volunteer to assist you in interacting with them outside of the cage. This beautiful tortie is Isabel, and she is a kitten, but she's a little bigger, a little older than the ones we just saw. She's about 6 months old. She came to us as a stray, so we don't know much about her, just what we're learning here in the shelter. She is very affectionate. The first couple of days that she was on the adoption floor, she was a little shy, but she has quickly relaxed, and now she comes right to the front of her cage. She wants to sit on people's laps. She's being incredibly affectionate, really loving, and is quickly becoming a volunteer favorite just because she wants to be with you, close to you, cuddle with you. She doesn't seem to have that same sass that torties are known for. If you like the beautiful markings but really not always a fan of that kind of sweet and sour sassiness that they have, maybe Isabel is going to be the perfect match for you. She's got those great markings and then the white whiskers that really kind of pop. She's just adorable, and she's looking for her forever home just like all of the other cats on our adoption floor. We have been we recently treated her for an upper respiratory infection, which is just a cold like you or I would get, but it's highly contagious here in the shelter for the cats. So many of the cats on the adoption floor right now have had that. We treated them, now they're better. They go back out onto the adoption floor. But that is the reason why many of the cages say, please do not touch me. We have hand sanitizer everywhere because we want to prevent the cats like Isabel from getting sick. When they're sick, they have to be removed from the adoption floor. They're gone for 2 weeks, and they might have missed that chance to find that perfect new family while they were not able to be seen. So it's really our goal to keep all the animals healthy, and we rely on visitors and volunteers to help us do that by paying attention to the signage, making sure that they're not sticking their fingers in the cages, keeping their hands clean, and those types of things. If you think that you're committed and prepared to take on Isabel, you can stop in and visit her at the shelter. We're open 6 days a week. We have a lot of young cats on the show for you today. This is Polly, and she's just a year old, and she's got a ton of kitten energy still left in her. She is a beautiful tuxedo cat with that nice pink nose. She's just super sweet, has tons of energy, wants to play, and she's looking for a new family to take her on. She, according to her previous owner, she came here because they just had too many cats and weren't able to care for them. She came in with 3 other cats, so she does get along with other animals, other cats. If you're thinking of adding her to an existing pet, or if you're thinking, I had a lot of people come in recently where they're interested in adopting more than 1 cat at one time. So Polly would do okay if you're introducing her to other animals. They say that she's calm, she's easily handled. What you can see, she's pretty content sitting on Randy's lap right now, getting scratched and petted, but she is very inquisitive. She's looking around, trying to see what's going on. And she's also pretty good about letting you know what she likes when you're petting her. She's leaning into you, showing you, yes, I like this, or rotating her head so that you know where she wants you to scratch next. It's really important when you're taking on a cat, especially if you've never had a cat before, to understand cat body language. Things like their ears and their tail are great indicators as to whether or not they like something or not. Frequently people come in and they think that if a cat's tail is moving rapidly that they're super happy like a dog would be. For cats, that's the exact opposite, and it's a really easy thing to explain to your kids so that they can avoid upsetting your new feline family member, and also keep everybody safe. We don't want anybody to get scratched or bitten. Sometimes when we don't listen to the animals telling us what we like, what they like, they take that next step and might swat at you and scratch you and those types of things. Polly doesn't seem to have any of the overstimulation issues that some of the other cats have. She's relatively calm, but again, still has that kitten energy, is going to play, is going to be very inquisitive, wanting to know what's going on in your house. It's good to get your cats, play with them for about 15 minutes a day, get them kind of worn out, and that'll keep them happy. Just like it's important to take your dogs out and let them have an opportunity to run off any energy, the same thing is important with your cats. If you want to take Polly home, you can visit her here at the shelter, or you can see all of her information online on our Facebook page or at pettango.com/FCAC. Our next guest is Tigress, and she actually came in with what I would guess is her sister. They're both a year old. They're both brown tabbies with white Euphrates. These guys came in to us because their owner was saying that they weren't using the litter box at home. These guys are very friendly. They came in together, but they're not housed together. They're not listed as bonded. So what we're doing is we're charting their litter box usage. What we found is typically we start animals on the pellets. If they don't like those pellets, then we switch them to clay. Once we switched these guys to clay, they started using their litter box without any issue. Sometimes the animals that come in with litter box issues, it's medical. They have urinary tract infections, they have urine crystals, some sort of problem like that, and then we go about resolving that. Sometimes it's just medication, sometimes it's special diet. With these guys, we haven't found any of those medical issues, but Sometimes in a home it can be behavioral. The previous owner said that they had their litter boxes in main areas like the living room or the family room. Sometimes cats don't like those high traffic areas. They have no privacy there. So sometimes you just have to move the litter box to a different location. Sometimes there's something in those rooms that they're afraid of and they don't want to go near that thing that they're fearful of. Sometimes they don't like the type of litter that you're using. You just have to swap out the litter. Covered litter boxes, sometimes animals also have issues with those. You just take the cover off, make it an open litter box, and it can resolve those issues. You also want to make sure that the litter box is staying clean. Most people don't want to use a dirty bathroom, and neither do the animals. So there's a lot of things that you can try and do if you're having those issues. But as I mentioned here, none of these guys have been having an issue since they've been in our care. So it might have been one of those factors that we changed, and now they're not having an issue. These guys are also, in addition to being very sweet and beautiful cats, they're also declawed in the front. Which some people find that really appealing because they are concerned about their furniture. We don't advocate that here because it can be harmful for the animals, and it can also play a role in whether or not your animals are going to use their litter boxes. Sometimes after that initial surgery, they go in the litter box, it's painful for them, and then they associate that pain with the litter box and not with the surgery that they've had, and then they try to avoid using that litter box. But if you're interested in taking Tigress, who is here, or Euphrates, her sister, who's back on the adoption floor home, and making them part of your family, please stop in and visit with them. You can ask about them at the front desk. Our last guest for you today is Precious, and Precious is actually a return to shelter. She was adopted from us as a kitten. Now she's about a year old. And she's currently a member of our Frady Cat program. Precious had a bit of a rough start, and so she's learning how to trust people again, how to love being loved. So we have a selected group of volunteers who come in and they interact with her so that she doesn't get too much attention. When she first came in, she was very, very scared. She was hiding. She was in a wild box. And after just about a month of getting a little bit of TLC, now she's coming out to greet people who are visiting her cage more often. She's really playing again. She's enjoying being petted. So she's come a long way. But she is a cat that is going to have a lot more work to be done for her to get her to be her best version of herself. So if you're thinking about taking Precious on, she is going to be a cat that's going to need a little bit more of your time. She's going to need a little bit of time to learn to be acclimated to your house and to learn that you're not going to hurt her. You're going to keep her safe and you're going to love her. But if you're willing to do that and be patient with her, she is a fantastic cat. She is a tortie, so she does have a little bit of that tortitude, but she's also very, very sweet. She plays with the enthusiasm of a kitten now that she's doing a little bit more playing. Another one of the great features about Precious is that she's one of our polydactyl cats. We don't get them in super frequently, but she is. So she's got that extra thumb there. She's got the mittens or the boxing gloves, which a lot of people are really into and they like to see. She's got the beautiful markings, and she's just got a very sweet face. She still has that very similar face to when she was a kitten. She has that kind of inquisitive look. She has a very bright future, but she really definitely needs someone who's going to be committed to her for the long run and understands her circumstances and is willing to give her time and patience. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Pet Pals. If you've seen an animal on the show today that you think is going to be a perfect addition for your family, do stop in and visit with us. Maybe you didn't see your next perfect family member. Stop in and visit the shelter. We have far more animals than we could ever put on one episode of Pet Pals. So they'll be available, and they hope to have a visit from you soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week with an additional set of adoptable pets.